the folks who are running the show over there, so give them a call today. All right, good friend of ours. We're getting to know him even more every week or so. We get a chance to sit down and talk with Anthony D'Angelo, Fortress Fiduciary Company, a division of Paragon Trust. He comes up with very interesting stories to talk about, and this one for sure fits the bill. Tony, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Lee. Good morning, everyone.
So you're going to give me income for nothing, right? Is that the deal?
Well, not only me, a number of presidential candidates, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Chris Murphy, our lovely friend who knows as much about economics as I might about building a 747. A whole bunch of them want to just give you money for doing nothing.
All right, so it's literally nothing, or is there any minimum? Do I have to do anything?
Well, it's a floating amount, but most of the proposals I read are you get money regardless of whether you need it or not.
Great. That's great.
Bad.
Yeah. So everybody gets the same amount? Is that the deal?
Well, families might get a little bit more. Kamala Harris, with her RISE Act, she's talking $6,000 a year tax-free money to a single, $12,000 to a family. Andrew Yang, who is running for president on the Democratic side, likes 12 and 24. Pick any number you want.
All right, because I heard as much as 30,000, even more than that in some cases. So, all right, so basically the government would write you a check, and that would be taken from the money tree behind the White House, right? Is that how that works?
Well, yes, I would imagine you'd have to restructure the tax system in order to do it. And really the fundamental thing here, Lee, is that you can look at this on political grounds, you can look at this on religious grounds, and believe me, I've commented on all of that, but just from a business standpoint, it's a terrible horror, but the basic premise behind all of this is, 80% of the world is not going to be able to keep up with the high-flying, motivated people, so they're not going to understand robotics or anything like that. We're just going to throw money at them.
Okay, so these people get, let's use $20,000 because that's a nice place, safe place in the middle. So a person will get $20,000, so you'll get essentially $400 a week or so, right? Does that come out right?
That's about right.
All right, so to spend as they wish, and that will be taken, obviously, from taxpayer dollars, so there'll be an added tax rate. I would assume your taxes have to go up something to pay for all this. So then the idea is, and I'm trying to be fair here, the idea is that those folks who had nothing before now will have money to go with purchasing power for goods and services, correct?
That is correct. That is the, whatever you want to call it, the rule book rule.
Okay, but people always forget the idea that it's not free. It's coming from somewhere. So who gets hurt the most in these kinds of plans?
Well, this is the thing. Again, political grounds, religious grounds, you can go off for days about that, and I have. But my belief, it's very clear to me, being a small employer in a state such as Connecticut, the people that get hurt the worst are people like me who hire people who are trying to get up from, economically, come out of a community college, learn a skill, learn accounting, learn tax, learn electricity, learn plumbing. There's not going to be an incentive for that. You're going to pick up a phone and you're going to call a plumber. Guess what? There ain't no plumbers, because that differential between UBI and whatever else you could get and what you can learn as an apprentice plumber is going to be so minuscule. And if you're trying to get up to that higher level or somewhere in the middle, there ain't going to be no middle. There's going to be a high and a low, and it's all going to be commanded by whoever has the purse strings on that UBI, which presumably will be some sort of a debit card or something like that.
We're talking to Tony D'Angelo again. Every once in a while he comes up with a great topic, and this is another one. I'm being sort of sarcastic, but when we talk about this, because the idea behind it is absolutely insane. But the Kamala Harrises of the world and the rest of those folks who say 6,000, 12,000, 20,000 is good, if that's good, why don't we give everybody 100,000, Tony?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful thing. I think Margaret Thatcher said that socialism's terrific. It's great until you run out of other people's money.
It's exactly who said it. You're right. All right, so where are we on? Are we close to this? Is there any support for this?
I think it's subliminal, and I believe it's the kind of thing. It's probably in its, whatever you want to call it, its development stages.
Yeah.
Maybe where the Affordable Care Act might have been 10 or 15 years ago. It was, it would be nice, but we really can't do it, and it's just sort of, however that might be working. But we're kind of like, no one really wants to get out and start pounding the table and say, this is great, and we're going to do it right yet. But it's coming. And not only that, Lee, there's vestiges of it just in this economy here and of some states. And it's always the states that are struggling, like Connecticut or New York, because if you have money thrown at, whatever you want to call it,
right,
first five larger concerns, and then you put burdens on small business and you give money to the rest, what you effectively do is you take that middle, that small business, which drives the economy, which improves lives. I mean, I go to work every day. I want to beat the big guy. That's why I'm here. And my best days are when I really beat the big guy. Now, if you're not giving me the tools to do that because you've made the system, everybody suffers. And I'm sure every, electrician or plumber or carpenter who left the big outfit to say, I could do this better, he's sure going to feel differently when he can't get workers.
It's interesting. The only way, as you're speaking, I'm thinking to myself, all right, is there any way that this would ever work? And there really isn't. But the idea is maybe incentivize people who do work. Okay, so if you have a job, okay, we'll give you how many hours of work a week you work. We'll give you that many thousands of dollars. Not thousands, but 40,000, but 10% of that. Let's say we give you a 4,000 bonus if you're a hard, because maybe that would incentivize folks to get out there and get a job. I don't know. It's not going to happen, but I'm trying to figure out a way where this makes any sense.
That's fundamentally what the earned income credit is. It's
right.
Like if you're working, you can do it. But the thing is, that gets capped at a certain point. I was in a sneaker store in California with my wife in Riverside County, and the very nice young lady said, well, I know how the game is played. I have to cut my hours so that I get my full subsidy rather than me working more hours and getting off the subsidy. But you have a good point. If you bring that up to where it's like, okay, the more I work, the more I'm going to receive, and I'm not going to be limited. Oh, man, but what it really comes down to, Lee, is controlling those who are in this mix because you want them to come back and vote for you.
That's exactly right. It's all about what you can, what kind of a person you can buy for how much and that vote down the road. I don't know. I'm being sarcastic. Obviously, those out there who are listening to the show know that I don't believe in that. I believe in personal responsibility. You get out and you make the best out of your own life, whatever you can, however you can. But,
and I'm going to add two things, and you'll read things. Here's another thing that I was thinking of yesterday. Me, myself, and I, whatever I have done in my life, whatever I do, whatever I will do, I am the progeny of a seventh-grade educated father who was epileptic, who was tossed out of school because, we don't want your kind in this school. So what did he do? He hung around with his brothers, and he learned the theatrical trade. He learned how to have sound in shows and light shows. My standing joke with Bob Lazari for years is like when we'd have technical difficulties on the shows, where's my father when we need him? But it was like this whole kind of thing of, now, what did he do? He owned a home, he got married, he raised three boys with advanced degrees. Now, if this was a universal basic income thing where we're kind of separating, these are the kids that will go to Stanford and Yale, and these are the kids we're not going to be able to do much with. My father wouldn't have done anything. I wouldn't have been in a place where I could have gone to school. It's got huge societal implications. Huge.
No question. Tony, listen, speaking of Bob, I got to get to him. So tell everybody where they can get a hold of you.
Okay, and thank you. At the Paragon Trust Company, 203-777-7334, or by email at fortresstrust@AOL.com. Give a call. I'd love to hear from him.
All right, he's a smart guy. Thanks, Tony. I appreciate it. We'll talk down the road. Tony D'Angelo always comes up with these interesting topics, just outside of the normal cause of conversation, and brings a whole bunch of great points out and shines a whole new light on it. So it's good stuff. All right, I got to take a break. Bob Lazari will join us. 3 minutes. Stick around.
In 1960, Wall Cozy opened up